Hi, I'm Rob Newell with FLWOutdoors.com with another segment of Beyond the Basics, where we take a look at the more advanced techniques of FLW Tour Pros. Today, privileged enough to have Randall Tharp with us. Randall Tharp is the grass master. He loves grass lakes all over the country. Today we're on Lake Okeechobee, where Randall's just finished 5th in the EverStart tournament, and he's going to share one of the techniques that he used out here today, swimming plastics. For the last few years here on Lake Okeechobee, swimming plastics has been the deal. Skinny dippers, big easies, horny toads, swimming frogs. Randall, thanks for coming aboard, and you have got to decipher this for me, because whenever I go to the store to get some swimming plastics, there's like all these different kinds with tails and everything, and so we're coming to you today to kind of get deciphered on these different paddle tail swimming plastics and how you rig them and how you specifically use each one in different weeds, different water columns, different areas.
Right. This style of baits, I mean, there's tons of companies that make these kind of things. Each one to me has its own use. Let's see, like we'll start with the top. Like something I would use on the top, I'm talking on the surface, not 6 inches below, is a frog style bait, which this is obviously, this is actually a frog that I used in the tournament this week. And I don't use it in real heavy vegetation, but this kind of covers when I want a fish that's going to feed on the top. A skinny dipper style swim bait, I use it from the top of the water to, I'd say, 6 inches deep. I mean, the water can obviously be deeper than that. All of these baits I use, I'd say, in 2 foot of water or less. But this style bait, I'll fish it on the top. This style tends to work better in really heavy cover than the frog style bait. I would prefer the frog style bait in a little sparser vegetation. Then going down a little deeper is like a swimming worm. And I would say I use this bait when I'm trying to catch anywhere from 6 inches to 1.5 feet to 2 foot of water. And you know, basically any deeper than that, I would probably have a whole different style of baits. But these are the baits that I use, and that's kind of the depth, you know, that I prefer to use each one and the type of cover.
I've noticed that you've got each one rigged differently, and that's what I want to talk about, because every style, each one of these plastics has its own need for the way you rig it. So let's start with your Mystic Frog that you use this week, the one you like in the top of the water column. Tell us about your hook, your braided line, and everything that you use for this particular plastic.
This frog, I've got this tied on 55-pound line. I would prefer to probably use bigger line here, but casting distance is a huge factor in the real clear, shallow water, and I can just throw this bait further, you know, with a little bit lighter line, and I feel like that you know, outweighs the disadvantage of having bigger line. It's just the casting distance, because I get more bites. The hook that I use, this is a 6/0 Gamakatsu with a screw in on the front. I don't even skin hook this particular frog. It's got these two big ridges, and basically that bait will come through just about anything, just like you see it there. And I mean, it's a fantastic frog. I just got these before I came down here. They're really a new product, and I'm really, you know, excited to be using it.
Onto the skinny dipper there, you've got a whole different rig for it. How do you set the skinny dipper up?
Okay, I've got a clear plastic screw-in bullet weight. It doesn't weigh much, but I mean, the reason I use that is it basically just comes through really heavy cover, and I feel like that's where this bait shines. Is anywhere you have a bunch of needle grass. I mean, where this bait just comes through reeds and the thickest cover, so much better than like a frog kind of hangs the grass more. But this bait is really a heavy cover bait. That's why I have bigger line on it, 65-pound, and I use a 6/0 Gamakatsu offset superline hook is what I've got in this bait. The only modification to the hook, I bend the hook out just a little bit. I feel like my hookups are a little bit better, and I just skin hook the hook in the bait just like you see there.
And then on to, you've got, it looks like a Magnum speed worm there, a Zoom Magnum speed worm.
Yeah, this bait, I've been using this for a few years, and anytime, this bait shines for me when I'm fishing any kind of lily pad stems or in pad fields. and it does come up on top when you're obviously pulling over weeds and stuff. But I try to fish this, I'd say, from 6 inches to 1.5 feet, and basically just a steady swim and retrieve. And the more stuff you can bang any of these baits into, seems to that's what triggers the bite. But the worm's been really good for me. This is on 55-pound line. I've got a bobber stopper on it. This is a 3/16 ounce tungsten weight, and this is a 5/0 owner, just an offset worm hook. And I've really been experimenting, trying to find the perfect hook for this worm. And this hook, to me, I just have a better hookup ratio than with the offset style. It seems not to get hung up as much, and it's just what works for me.
So even though you've got 3 different types of swimming or buzzing type plastics, you've got 3 different ways of rigging them. You just can't, you don't like to just use one setup on all 3 of those. Every one of those plastics has its own way you set it up, weight-wise, hook-wise, line-wise.
Yeah, for me it does. Now, I mean, you could obviously get away with rigging them, you know, any way you like. But for me, I mean, I feel like my hookups and stuff are better the way I have these rigged. I mean, with those particular hooks, I mean, I've spent a lot of time out here trying to perfect, you know, each one of these baits, and being able to look at a situation on the water and realizing, hey, this is made for a skinny dipper, this is made for a worm or a frog, and this, you know, this just worked for me. And I haven't cut these baits off. These are exactly what I used this week.
All right, Randall, we appreciate it. We're going to let you demonstrate each one of these. We're going to ride around the lake here and find the specific types of cover that you'd throw each one of these baits at and let you demo it for us.
Okay.
Okay, we pulled up into this place, and what we've got here is a perfect scenario to fish this big worm, swimming worm. And it's about 1.5 feet deep. The water's real clear. We've got tons of lily pad stems mixed with some hydrilla, and it's just, to me, this is the perfect place to fish this worm. I just prefer it over a skinny dipper or a horny toad in this type of area, just based on like all the pad stems that's in here and the depth of the water. I feel like I can get more bites fishing that, you know, 1.5 feet all the way up to 6 inches, and there's some pad stems on top, so the bait's going to come up out of the water over them. But this is the perfect kind of place for that. As far as my setup, I've got all of these techniques. I use a high-speed reel. This is a 7/3 to 1, and all of them I use the same type of rod. This is a 6-power. It's a 7-foot 6-inch flipping stick. It's not a real stiff rod. I don't like to use a real stiff rod any time that I throw braid, just because I feel like a little give in the rod is necessary so you don't rip a big hole in the fish's mouth. But this right here, what you're looking at, is what I consider the perfect place to throw the worm. Okay, we move locations. We're in a little bit shallower water here. This is all about 1 foot deep. You can see it's not extremely thick as far as what we have here. We've got a bunch of these reeds. We've got a few lily pads, some buggy whips, and stuff that I key on with this buzzing frog are obviously like points, like the points of these big patches of reeds are what I look for. Just basically anything different. But this is the perfect type of area where I would use this style bait over like the worm or the swim bait style bait. We relocated once again. This is an area where I would throw the swim bait over the other style of baits. As you can see, it's a little bit thicker vegetation. We've got some Kissimmee grass, some buggy whips, a little bit of needle grass, some lily pads, and this is where I feel like this bait shines over the other style baits, just because it comes through this thicker stuff better than the other baits. Hey, I'm Randall Tharp. Thanks for joining us today on Beyond the Basics. I hope these tips will help you guys catch more fish.